This conversation begins with a statement. We want some of that. Yes. We want some of that. Or you could say it like this. We want some of this. My wife and I were invited over to a friend's house, and this friend lives in a very affluent, prestigious, if you will, upper class community. And so as we were exiting the highway, we noticed a difference. It was like from darkness to light. It was like an eclipse. As we were exiting the freeway, I mean, this community just lit up. It was one of the most immaculate, the most pristine communities I've ever seen. Every tree, every hedge seemed to be well manicured and pedicured. That's the way it looked. Very nice. Every store was a top end store. Fendi, Tiffany, you name it, Louis Vuitton, Prada. Every high-end store you could think of, we passed by. And then the restaurants were no different. I mean, they were 5-star, 7-star, if you will, top of the line. And so as we're driving through the community, getting ready to come to his particular neighborhood, you just couldn't beat it. It was just one of the most beautiful places I have seen. And so as we arrive at the gate, and we were asked by the guard in the guard house for our ID. Now, I said guard house. I didn't say guard shack because it was a house. And so just the way he asked me for my ID, which was my driver's license, I handed it to him, but it felt like he was asking me for my birth certificate and my fingerprints. That's how nice this place is. It just felt like he wanted to really make sure I was welcome to this particular neighborhood. And so as he gives me back my driver's license, he opens the gate. And when he opens the gate, I kid you not, my wife's head was on a swivel. She was looking from left to right at all the gorgeous houses, all the beautiful properties, and I was doing the exact same thing. I was going from right to left, just looking and admiring what beauty. I mean, how God had blessed this community to be so awesome. And so I did something. I don't know if you have a cruise control in your car, but I pushed cruise control, probably going about 5 miles per hour. And so we just cruised from this point, from the gate all the way to my friend's house, which is no more than 1 block away. But it felt like it took an hour to get there because we're just gleaming. We're just gawking. I mean, you know how your mouth is, your bottom jaw just dropped down and you have to pick it back up because you're just really enjoying the view. Well, that's what we were doing. We were enjoying the view. And so as we arrive in front of my friend's house and we get ready to get out of the car, as we're walking up the entry way to his house, my wife stopped and says, "Hey, did you lock the car?" And I look at her and said, "You got to be kidding me. Lock the car? Honey, I left the keys in the car and I left the ignition on. If anyone wants that car in this neighborhood, they're more than welcome to it. I don't think anybody's going to touch our car, okay?" So as we walk up to the doors and my friend opens the door, him and his wife greets us. I mean, it's just like a whole different, it's like a new world. I mean, we had just seen beauty on the outside. I wasn't expecting this kind of beauty on the inside, but as they began to walk through the house, we push it on cruise control again in our walking. Yeah, we're cruising and we're just gleaming at every room as we pass by, because this room looks like Tom Ford put something in it. This room looked like Giorgio Armani did something in it. Every room seemed like a top designer had been there and had designed each and every room and each and every item in the room. It was just beautiful. And so as we walk on, as we cruise on through the house and we come to the living room, we're all sitting there just talking and catching up and having a great time. And then the ladies get up and go off to another room as my friend and I, as we just sit there and just have a good old man-to-man conversation. And he looks at me and says, "Hey, I can see it. I can see it in your face." And I said, "What are you talking about?" He says, "You want some of this." "Yes, you want some of this. I can tell." And I said, "You cotton picking right. I want some of this. This is beautiful. This is exactly what I dreamed of." And so as we're talking, he starts unpacking to me, yeah, this is awesome, but let me tell you what it takes to keep this, what it takes to maintain this. And so he started telling me the things that he's doing the things that his wife and him that they're involved in, it's more of a status kind of thing. He was telling me we have the money to afford this house and this community to live here. But what's happening is the peer pressure around us to have our kids in boarding schools, to be able to go on vacations with these individuals that we're hanging around, to be able to fly in private jets and to be like a jet setter across the world, going to these big events that cost so much money, to have these resorts that we've kind of mirrored up with, and we own them now, and we really financially can't afford them. He started telling me that the money he makes and his wife makes, they got it, they have it, they have enough, but what they're doing is they're extending themselves way beyond their means. And you would think that someone rich wouldn't be doing that. You would think that people who are not rich have a hard time trying to make ends meet from paycheck to paycheck. But he was letting me know that he's living from paycheck to paycheck, from credit card to credit card, that because whenever they go on these trips, that he realizes now that he doesn't have enough money, so he uses his credit cards, and they have maxed all those out as well. And so the pressure of this peer pressure of this status that they're trying to live, I'll call it living with the Joneses and living with the Smiths, because that's what it is. It's a notch up. And so he was telling me how it's just really, it's really worrying on their marriage. It's worrying on their patience. It's beating him down. He's letting me know that, and this is a proud man now. This is the man who this is a smart brother. But he's letting me know how this stuff, this status, is turning his world upside down. Now you and I, we might not be as rich as this guy, but we understand the situation. At the level we live at, the credit cards, at one time I had like 19 maxed out. And so I understand stress. And so I understand what he's going to. Even though he's at this level, I understand that when you get up certain levels, there's just more devils. There's more temptation. And so he's in that arena, his wife and him, they're just in that arena of more temptations, of more things coming up against them. Now, I would like to think that if I was in this situation, I could handle this. I would do a better job at this. But I just told you I had 19 credit cards maxed out. I wouldn't do a better job. No. It would take a learning curve for me as well. It would take one for you. In your situation right now where you are, you don't have that kind of money, but you probably have 10 credit cards, 2 credit cards maxed out. You're trying to go to movies, and you're trying to go to different concerts and take different vacations, because that's what we do in this society. I mean, everything has to be on Instagram or Facebook or something showing us that, hey, we've arrived, that we can live with the Joneses as well. And everything about you is maxed out. I mean, you're maxed out with your credit cards. You're maxed out with your stress. Yes, you're maxed out in your marriage or your relationship. You're maxed out at your job. You're maxing out everywhere in life, trying to keep a certain status. And that's where my friend is. He's just like you and I. They are just like you and I. It's just that they have a little bit more. But we still have the same issues at different levels, but the same issues. Isn't that amazing? You would think money would buy you happiness, but it can't. No, it can't buy you happiness. Being debt-free can buy you some happiness. Now, I'm going to tell you that. Being debt-free, oh, please. The best time in my life is when I became debt-free. I mean, the most stressless time in my life is when I became debt-free. You got to try it. The Bible tells us, be the lender, not the borrower. God is trying to show us that he doesn't want us in debt. He doesn't want us owing anyone. I mean, come on, not one soul. Because once you owe someone, you become a slave to them. Yes, you do. You don't want to hear that term, but that's what you become. You become their servant. Yes, whatever they want, guess what? You have to do. And so God wants you to be able to do what he needs you to do, not what someone else wants you to do. And so my friend, as he's telling me and unpacking more and more of what's taking place, the boarding schools, the exotic trips, and just all the things that they're getting into, the status of life, trying to keep up, trying to live up to others' levels, if you will. I began to see that there's peer pressure, not just with the teenagers, there's peer pressure with adults. I don't know if I've ever seen that before. Peer pressure with adults. Peer pressure. Bullies with adults. Now, I knew that one. Bullies with adults. But that's what's happening. They're being bullied and peer pressured into taking these trips and to having their children into different schools and to do different things and maxing out their credit cards, that things they can't afford. Does that sound like you? Does that sound like you and I, that we're allowing the things that we want to pleasure ourselves with to put us in debt? Yeah, it could just be you, that you like to pleasure yourself more than you like to pleasure God. So you take a credit card and you'll buy an exotic vacation and you'll buy a expensive car and you'll get an expensive house that you really can't afford. But you could afford to live at your level and be wealthy and to be stress-free. But that's not where your friends are. That's not the kind of people you want to hang around with. Well, guess what? Maybe you shouldn't be hanging around them. I don't want those kind of friends. I don't want friends I got to live up to a certain status to where I've got to buy this stuff to put myself in debt. Now, I want the kind of friends where I can afford. I don't want to be at this level, way up here, but I want to afford it. And I don't want anyone trying to twist my arm with words and with issues of life, trying to make me buy something that I can't afford. That's where we are, though. We're letting grown folks twist our arm into situations that we know we shouldn't be in. Are you big enough to say no to your friends? Are you big enough to say no to yourself? Do you love you enough to say no to you? And yeah, we want some of that. We do. We want some of that. So as my friend is talking to me, and we're sitting there, and basically he's just crying. He's crying. He's crying. He's not venting. He's just crying. I can hear his heart. And so I pray for him. I pray that God would make him whole in every situation of his life. Yes, I pray God will heal him, that he will deliver him from his own mind, from his own issues of trying to live with the Joneses. I pray that for you and I, that God will come in and arrest us. Yes, he will. That he will set up in this particular body of ours, and that he will give us the discipline that we need to say no to ourselves, to say no to peer pressure. That he will bless us to understand that we have more than enough. We have more than enough. God has given us all that we need. All we have to do is tap into what its requirements are. And that is to be debt free. That is to live a life that's for him and not for ourselves. If you keep pleasuring yourself, you'll always be in debt. You'll always be in stress. You'll always have a dysfunctional family. You'll always have a marriage that's on the brinks of breaking up. You will. Your relationships will never be solid if you pleasure yourself that much. Please God. That's what we should be doing. So my friend, let me get back to the story. So my friend, as I pray for him and I ask that God will bless him, my wife comes out of the room with her friend, and as we're getting ready to leave, we wave goodbye to him and we get in our car. And as we're leaving, my wife starts telling me that her friend was telling her the same thing. How she's almost at her brink's end. She's about to throw in the towel. She don't know what she's going to do with the children. She just knows that she's so stressed out and she's tired. And she's been living a fake life with all this money in this beautiful neighborhood, got the funds to be here, but living a fake life above this status. Okay? So she's telling my wife that she don't know how they're going to make it, but I told my wife, I gave her husband a plan. I gave him a plan to get himself out of this debt. I gave him some word, the word of God, to help him, to help him transition from one level to the next, to tell people no, to tell himself no, to tell his wife no, that they're going to make it through this. And so as my wife and I are leaving and we're getting ready to go through these gates, we look back and we both look at each other and we say, you know what? We want some of this still, regardless. We want some of this, but we don't want none of that. No. None of those issues that they've allowed themselves to get into. They're human, they've made some mistakes, but we don't want none of that. We want all of this, but we want none of that. That's where we should be. Yeah, I want all of Jesus. I want all of him. But I don't want none of that other stuff. No, not that stuff. Because I know what it takes. I don't want material things. Material things. You know how it is. You know how we can get. You remember the story about the Israelites. They wanted a king. The Israelites had no king. In the book of Samuel, the Lord himself was their king. They had judges that God had asked Samuel to put over the Israelites to govern their issues, to be like the court system. And so the people would come before the judges, and the judges would give them what needs to take place as far as what the issue was. They take care of it. Well, guess what? These Israelites, they wanted to be like the other nations. Yeah, they wanted some of that, what the other nations had. The other nations had a king, a fleshly king. And so they told Samuel, we want a king over us. And so Samuel went to God and told God, hey, these people want a king. What do I do? And God said, well, you can try to persuade them if you want to. So Samuel went back and tried to persuade the people, hey, you don't want a king. Let me tell you, you do not want a king. Let me tell you what the king is going to do. He's going to make you out of slaves. He's going to take your children and put them in his army to fight his battles. He's going to take your maidservants, your manservants, and he's going to claim them for himself. He's going to basically take all your stuff and put you up under him. And guess what? These rascals still wanted a king, a fleshly king. They were comparing themselves to other nations, and so they wanted some of this. Then God gave them a king. He gave them King Saul. So they wanted some of this, but now they realized that they got King Saul. They didn't want none of that, but it was too late. God told Samuel, pick up your chin, smile. Don't be sad, because they're not rejecting you, Samuel. They're rejecting me. Are you rejecting God over stuff? Over fleshly things? Are you rejecting him? Do you want some of this stuff so bad that you rejected God? That you put God on the back burner? That you feel that this stuff is more than him? Shame on all of us. No. If you're going to want God, you're going to want all of God. You're going to want all of his promises, all of his commandments. You got to eat the whole loaf. That's what we're not doing. We want what we want when we want it. But God wants to make it very clear. You're not rejecting Samuel. You're rejecting him. Are you rejecting God over the stuff that you want and the stuff that you don't want? Be careful. That's where we're headed. Yes, that's what we're doing. You remember the story of Adam and Eve? How the serpent deceived Eve? Yes, he did. To where she wanted to take of this fruit because he conned her and he told her, you'll be like gods. And so she wanted some of that. She wanted to feel how it would be to be like God. So she wanted some. So guess what? Her and her husband, they bit of that fruit. And guess what? That's when sin entered into the earthly realm. That's when man lost a relationship with God the way they once had it. Once had it. Is because we were disobedient in the garden. Are you being disobedient to God right now? Are you being disobedient with him? What are you biting? What forbidden fruit are you partaking in? Is it pornography? Hello. Is it adultery? Hello. What is it? What is it? What are you dipping into? What are you tapping into that you shouldn't be tapping into? Huh? What are you doing? Shame on you. I mean, we all do something. No one's perfect. But what are you tapping into? What are you telling God? I want some of this. Yes, I want to bite of that fruit. I want to be like you. But I don't want none of this. I don't want to obey your commandments. No, I don't want to obey those commandments. No, I want to be able to sin a little bit and do a little bit more and then still be a part of this. And God is saying, no. If you want this, you got to let all that go. Yes, you do. If you want some of this, then guess what? You can't have none of that. You got to choose. You want this to be your master, or you want Satan to be your master. You make the decision. That's what we are. That's what we are. Yeah, we want some of this, but we don't want none of that. So as my wife and I are leaving, I just said it, we definitely made it clear. We want some of this, but we don't want none of that mess that they got themselves into. None of that mess. You know the Bishop, T.D. Jakes, the great Bishop T.D. Jakes, the anointed Bishop T.D. Jakes. Every minister you know, every minister, I mean all of them, everyone wants what he has. Yeah, everyone, especially the young ministers coming up, that anointing he has on his life, that gift that he has on his life. Everyone wants where he is. No one wants where he was. No. No one wants what I call the process, the 40 years of fears and tears. No one wants that. No. Everyone wants what he has right now. No one wants the 40 years of living by faith and hope. No one wants that. No, I want where he is right now, Donnie. I don't want all that old stuff. I want where he is right now in his life. No one wants the 40 years of slaving and serving for God. No one wants that. No. That's what Bishop had to go through. No, what we want is where he's at right now. No. That's what we want. Yeah. No one wants the heartaches and the headaches. All we want is a celebration. But that's what it takes. See, I want some of this what he has, but I don't want none of that what he had to go through. That process, come on. That process is what refined him. Yes, it is. It's what made him. It polished him. Yeah. That grind, I call it, putting in that sweat equity. That's what made Bishop who he is. Are you willing to go through that grind? Are you willing to put in some sweat equity? Or you just want to arrive on the spot? That's not going to work. God's not into hocus pocus. No. You got to put your time in. We all do. So remember, if you want some of that, you can get some of that. Do it the right way. There's nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with having what you want. But remember, sometimes you got to realize if you want some of this, you got to let some of that go. Yeah, you got to let that go. To get this, sometimes you got to let this go. I kid you not. Peter, you know Peter, courageous Peter now. Peter was a bad man in the Bible. Yeah, Apostle Peter, a bad man. Peter would fight. He would boast about a lot of things that he wanted to do and he would do. And you know, he cut off a man's ear, so Peter was a bad boy. I mean, he cuts you in a second. He fights you in a moment's notice. But when it came down to it, Peter denied Jesus 3 times because he was fearful of his life. Peter wanted what Jesus had. He wanted to be a part of Jesus' camp. He wanted to be a part of Jesus' team, and he was. But he didn't want to die. No. He didn't want to give up his life. He boasted that he would, but he couldn't. Jesus knew it, though. Jesus knows what you can't do. So stop boasting of great things in your life. Yeah, stop bragging of stuff that you know good and well you can't do it. Stop acting like you that in a bag of chips. You're not. You're just simple Danny. That's all you are. Simple Donnie. Yeah. Simple Sheila. That's who you are. So when it comes down to it, you want some of this, but you don't want none of that. Then make sure you live your life that way. Make sure you live your life in a position, in a way that you understand life is about processes. Nothing happens overnight. Nothing is that easy. So take your time and make sure the next time you look at this story or look at a story like it and you see someone else who's doing good, don't covet what they have. No. Cover them in prayer. See, God likes it when you celebrate someone else, when you're joyful for them, when you're celebrating them, when you're inspired by them. God wants you not to covet what they have. He don't want you to try to want what they have. He wants you to cover what they have. Cover them in prayer. Yes. You want some of that, then so be it. Make a plan to get it. But don't covet it. Cover it. Cover it in prayer and worship. That God will bless those individuals who have it, that they will know how to maintain it and know how to be blessed and live within that blessing. That way you'll be blessed as well. I pray that you have enjoyed this message. Don't forget Romans 10:9. Yes, confess and believe, therefore you shall receive the gift. That's Jesus Christ. Yes, and remember, God is God. Have a blessed day.